Welcome back, all my wealthy warriors. Welcome back to another Warrior Wednesdays. And there's a little bit of progression, I should say, going on in my life. So wherever you tune into the podcast, if you tune in on YouTube, you're going to start to notice a different backdrop because I'm currently in the middle of moving, So the next video you see, I'm going to be in a totally different environment. And if you've ever moved, which most people have moved, it's a lot of work. Even if you don't have a lot of stuff, it still is quite a bit of work to move, and moving is actually a good thing sometimes because it allows you to go through all the things that you've accumulated throughout the years or of however long you've stayed in that place. It allows you to let go of things and pass it on to people. And for myself, I've done it a couple times now where I bag up all my old clothes that I don't wear anymore and I drop them off. Usually I've dropped them off. There's a place called the Women's Center down in the Lower East Side of Vancouver. Or, if I have friends or someone I know that might like some clothes, then I just pass it on to them. And then I ask that they do the same thing. They just bring it to that women's center on the Lower East Hastings. And I'm pretty excited, to be honest, with this move and changing my environment because some of you know, if you watch this on YouTube, I'm currently recording out of my bedroom, and that kind of sends my mind mixed emotions. Like it sends my brain mixed signals. I don't have a specifically set place to be able to sit down and record and to focus on the podcast, to focus on my editing. So with the place that I'm moving into, it's actually fairly bigger than this place, and I will actually have a separate spot to be able to record my podcast. It'll be this tiny little space where when I go to sit down, my mind will know, hey, it's time to jump into creative mode, to work, to record a podcast or whatever, to work on my Kangen water business, what I also do on the side of this. And if you struggle to work or to get creative or things like that, maybe you don't have the right environment for it set up, like when the gyms were closed here recently in British Columbia, it was harder for me to work out at home because I'm so used to going to the gym to work out, right? When I get to the gym, my mind knows it's time to start working out. And at home, your body is just so used to doing other things. So that's why it's actually hard sometimes for people to do home workouts because their mind has already created an environment for that situation. And also, that's why some people have trouble sleeping because they're doing so much activity in their rooms. They're doing other things other than just sleeping. And I've been there, because where I'm currently living, my room's pretty small, so I have to actually work from my bedroom. So usually I have no trouble falling asleep. because I go to the gym and I work out and I tire myself out through the day. But if you're not exercising and you're not doing these things and you're doing multiple things in your room, your mind can't sift through what it actually is meant to do. So sometimes even when I sit down to work on my business, my mind doesn't shift right into that mode. So if you want to set yourself up for success, start creating little spots in your house where you'd only do certain things there. You know, your living room is meant for, you could read, write, whatever, watch TV. Your bedroom is for sleeping and sleeping only. Your kitchen is for cooking and things like that. Maybe you have a little nook, a little area, your kitchen or your dining room area, where that's where you only do is you eat, you socialize and eat. You don't do work there. You don't do anything like that. And then you set up a little corner where you can have a little office space where you work on things, where you sit down and that's what you do. And that's why people sometimes they don't succeed. They fail before they even start because they're not setting their environment up for them to win. And that could go for anything. You're trying to lose weight. Well, what do? You get rid of that temptation to eat bad food. You go through all your closets, all your stuff, and get rid of that junk food. So when you have, when you're tempted to eat something bad and you go to the cupboards, there's nothing there. So you've already primed yourself to stick on your meal plan, to stick on your new habit. When you're trying to get rid of that other habit of eating and snacking on bad things, you've already went ahead and you've pulled all that stuff out and you threw it out so that temptation isn't there anymore. You're setting your environment for success. And that's what I'm very, very excited for, is my own little studio, basically, my own little creation podcast studio place. And I already have envisioning on what it's going to look like, which is pretty neat. I'm really excited for it. And you should do the same thing. Set up little environments that's going to lead you to be successful in that area. I heard this interesting story of how this guy wanted to become, a healthier person. So how he began to do that was he would put on his shoes, go to the gym, get there. Sometimes he would just go to the washroom, wash his hands, and then leave. And he would do that for a couple days. Just go in, basically, for a couple minutes and then leave. So then he would go on the treadmill and walk for 5 minutes, get off and leave. And he started to create that habit of a person who's going to the gym. And it was so subtle that it was 5-10 minutes a day. And then eventually he said, well, you know what? I'm already here at the gym. I might as well start working out. So he started to work out. And he became a person that lived a healthier lifestyle. And then he ultimately lost a ton of weight. But he would have never done that if he didn't start to create that habit and in that environment where his body knew, all right, it's time to go. It's time to do whatever. It's time to work out, right? So do the same thing for yourself. Set yourself up for success. And, understand that when we actually start to forget certain habits Like, how when you move, you go through things and you start getting rid of things that no longer serve you a purpose. You can do that with your life. You can start going through things that no longer serve you a purpose. You can start to retell yourself that you're a different person. That's why some people have troubles giving up certain habits like smoking or drinking or things like that, because they tell themselves that that's who they are. They're like, well, I've always been a smoker, so that's just who I am. Instead of telling themselves a new story on throwing that out, getting rid of that story and saying, I'm not a smoker. I'm a healthy person who enjoys having healthy, strong lungs. See how simple that was? And yes, it's going to feel weird at first. It's kind of like when you move, right? Everything kind of feels weird. Everything's new. Everything is, it's not the same. And our subconscious mind doesn't like that. It wants to take the most easiest route possible. I've talked about that before. But in order for you to change, you have to set up that environment for success. So that's what I want to challenge you to do this week, is create little areas where you only do certain things in that area. And I heard this story of people who have insomnia. What they would do is only allow them to go to bed, like lay in bed when they were tired. If they weren't tired, so say they laid down and they weren't tired and they couldn't fall asleep, they would get them to get out of bed, go out of the bedroom, go into the living room, do whatever, and then when they started to get tired, they would go lay down. And that started to tell the mind, okay, it's time to go to sleep. And they started to, it didn't happen overnight, right? It took time. But they eventually started to go to sleep. When they laid down, that's what they did. They went to sleep. And I've been there, I've laid in bed and I've watched YouTube or I've watched Netflix on my phone. And over the Christmas holidays, because I wasn't really working out as much as I wanted to because the gyms were closed, I had a hard time sleeping. I realized that, and I would just lay there and lay in bed wide awake, and I was having trouble sleeping. And then I heard this whole story. I'm like, whoa. So when I move into my new place, my bedroom where I sleep will be mainly just to sleep in, to rest, to recharge myself. And I will have a separate area to do my editing and all my podcasts and my recording, and that's what that area will be. And it'll be a lot. I already don't have troubles falling asleep because I go to the gym and all these things, but it'll be that much easier as well with my new place. So understand that if you may, who knows, maybe you're in the middle of moving as well, or you're gonna be moving. Get excited about moving, because you can plan and set an atmosphere for you to flourish, for you to become the best version of yourself. When you move, it's like taking a flower out of a certain environment because it's not flourishing, and you put it in its right environment so it can flourish. You're the same way. You're that flower. You're being planted right now as that seed. And when you get put in that proper right environment, you're gonna flourish into that beautiful, amazing flower. That's what's gonna happen. So I'm gonna cut this one a little short because I'm obviously in the middle of packing up and getting ready to move. So I'm excited for you to check out my new atmosphere next week. And it may not be all set up the way I want it to right away, because I know it takes time and moving is a whole process. But I'm excited because it's a new start. It's a new beginning. It's a next chapter. And I'm really, really honored to share this journey with you. For you to be able to support me, I am very honored for that. So be on the lookout for some new exciting moves and for my own little podcast studio to be set up. I'm really excited for this. I hope you are too, because that means that this podcast will get better and better and better, you know? So, Sukani for tuning in. Dagas, take care. See you next Wednesday from my new studio. And remember, everything happens for the right reasons. Take care.